Hi there, welcome to this build of the Quiver. Now the Quiver is a 45-inch wingspan version of the much larger 1930s model, the Quaker. And we're building this from a great set of plans which I've downloaded from the OuterZone website. And if you have a look in the description below this video, you'll find a link where you can download these plans for free. And they really are a good, detailed set of plans. Now, in today's video, we're going to be doing something that I really enjoy. Well, I enjoy all of it, but I particularly enjoy laminating balsa. It's a great way to work and produces some really nice, light structures. If we look at the plans, we can see that the fin and rudder assembly, the tailplane tips and the wing tips are all made up of 3/16 reed, round reed. Now I haven't got any reed and it's quite expensive to find, and it's not easy to find, it's quite expensive when you do. So I'm going to be laminating these structures with 1/32 balsa, so some really nice thin balsa. And what we'll produce is some nice, strong, light and thin structures that we can use in place of that reed. And as I said, I really enjoy laminating. Right, well, to make these laminated tips, what I've done is I've printed out a copy of the plan and I've stuck that on some 6mm foam board. And I'm going to cut around the inside of the tip shown on the plan, and then we'll get our former like this. And once we've cut it out, we can smooth it up with a little bit of sanding. You know, foam board sands just as well as, well, not quite as well as balsa, but it does sand well. So I'm going to get these formers made. I need 2 wing tips, I need 2 tips for the tailplane. So what I will do is I've got some more foam board and I'll just put this round and I'll draw it and cut it out. So I'll have 5 pieces to do in total. Then I'm going to cut 3/16, because I want to make these 3/16 deep. I'm going to cut 3/16 strips of this 1/32 balsa, really thin. And this is what we're going to use with PVA to laminate around our structures. So what I'll do is I'll get these cut out, cleaned up. Right, well, I've got these all cut out now and we're almost ready to go, but I thought I'd make a quick comment. I've obviously got the 2 wing tips, I've got the 2 ends for the tailplane and the rudder and fin assembly. And where I needed identical pair, I've just put these together, clamped them and then sanded round with my sanding stick. Obviously I did that outside. The dust is horrible off this stuff, so you really don't want to be breathing it in. And a couple of other things. Once you cut off that tip that we're going to make, we lose the reference point of how big it needs to be. So you can see I've put on a couple of arrows, so there's no point in us going beyond that point. I've obviously given a little bit of leeway there. So if we take it to the arrows, the balsa, that's good. And you can see particularly with the tailplane tips, we don't want to go past that point because this is just a straight piece of, I think it's 3/16. No point in laminating past that and wasting the balsa. So I've got these all. Oh, and the other point, I've written on how long the balsa needs to be, 370mm to do from there to there. So I'm going to get all this set up now and then we can start laminating. Right, well, we're all set up now and ready to go. I've got my 5 profiles pinned down onto my flat balsa building board, and I've got them on plastic, which you can see, so that they don't we don't get anything stuck to the balsa building board. I've got strips cut for each individual profile, and I'm going to use 6 pieces for each. And these are 7/32 wide, so that's just over 3/16, so that will, because I want a kind of a 3/16 finish, so that will allow me to just sand it down a little bit, so just very slightly oversized. And to get a similar 3/16 7/32, I've got 6 pieces of balsa and 6 foot each, so they're all going to be the same. Now I've got a lot of blocks here, because what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using PVA, and I'm going to paste each one and then I will stick another piece on the top, and then I'll paste that and another piece and paste it, and I will build up my sandwich on this bit of card. So I have a sandwich of 6 pieces of balsa. I will then take the balsa and wrap it around. It's good to do it as one because it allows time for the glue to soak in before you start wrapping it. But also, if you try and wrap them around individually, spring back, you've got to hold them, it's really fiddly. Much better that you get them glued and then just wrap this round in one. Now, to hold this lamination in place, I'm going to use lots of pieces of balsa pinned around the edge just to hold it in place, and I will use a little bit of plastic under each one just to isolate the block from the lamination, so we don't end up sticking these to what we're making essentially. So we'll go around, we'll pin all those in place. Oops, that one's split. There, we'll pin all these in place, and that will hold them nicely. The other option, which I've seen people do, is to put a pin against the lamination, just hold them with pins. But I find that you can get dents. If you put a lot of pressure on, it can dent around the outside edge, which you then have to go and work when you clean them up and sand them to get rid of. So far better to use blocks like this. So I think I've got a brush. I've got plenty of cloth because it's going to get pretty mucky. You can't do this without getting your hands covered in PVA, but it's a great process. I love doing it, and it'll be good to get all 5 done at once. Okay, well, you've seen me do the first one on the high-speed film. We'll slow it down for this one and talk it through. So we'll just get the last of this glue on and the final piece of the sandwich together. As you can see, it's quite a mucky process. Right, okay, so we'll get this last piece on top. There we go. And we'll just make sure that all lined up, and just give it a press down, squeeze out a little bit of the excess glue, and we'll pick this up off the card now, and we'll just give it a wipe just to get the any excess glue off it. There we go. Oh, look at that. It looks lovely when it comes together like that. And that now is really lovely and supple. And what we'll do is we'll wrap this around. I think I will start on this side, it might be easier. We'll take note of the arrow there, and we'll cut some little bits of plastic just so we can put those blocks on without sticking them to the lamination. We'll no doubt need a few more in a second. So, get the first block on. Just make sure this is pushed down so it's flat, yep. And we'll get this first block on. There we go. Now, where's my plastic? There it is. And we'll put on another piece. A little bit tight with the other one, but no problem. Wanted to get these all done at the same time because I'm going to leave them quite a long time to dry. I will probably end up leaving them a couple of days. I think they will be fine after a single day, but I quite like to leave lamination just because you put a lot of work and effort into it, and it would be a shame if when you came to unpin it, it wasn't quite right. So I would much rather get on with other jobs, and there's always plenty of other jobs to be on with. Never short of jobs. So right, and we'll get this pin in here. I think we're going to use some of all of these big pins. There we go. And cut some more plastic. Right, now this needs to come all the way round. There we go. Now if we don't put these close together, you find that often when you come to put a piece on, God, that balsa's hard. Let me get a softer piece of balsa. When you come to put a piece of balsa like this pressing against the lamination, if these aren't close together, then you often get a little bit of a bow, and it pushes out. So it's good to have them at quite regular, close intervals, or not regular but close intervals. There we go. And we've almost got this one done now. I think we need a little bit more plastic. There we go. Just make sure that's pushed down. I think it was just lifting up a little bit. And I think we're onto a straight edge here. Actually, some of this balsa I've picked is very hard. Okay, there we go. That's probably the last piece. And once you've got it pinned down, it's worth going around just checking that it hasn't lifted kind of significantly off the former. And this is just lifting up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just put a weight on that, and I'll put a weight on this one I've already done, and move on to the next. So I'll get the rest of these done now. Right, well, I am on the home stretch now, and we're getting the last couple of pieces of balsa in just to hold it. I think I'll probably just put one more in just here perhaps. Actually no, I don't think I need that because it's beyond the line. So just check it's all pushed down, and there we go. There is our lamination done, and I'll just go around and just check it all again, but it all looks fine. Yep. So what we're going to do now is leave this until, well, I'm going to leave it 2 days at least, or at least 2 days, because I don't want it moving, and I don't think it will. I think 24 hours would be fine, but better safe than sorry. Right, well, I've left this now a couple of days, and so it should be completely dry. So the moment of truth, we're going to start to dismantle this and and it'll be really exciting to see what it looks like. Right, well, we've got all of the pins out, so now the moment of truth, and time to lift them off the plastic, and they should come off nice and easy. Yes, lovely. Now, if I just get rid of this building board and we can have a proper look at what we've got. And these are looking really nice and nice and flat, and this is just starting to come off here, so we can just ease them off the structure. There we go, there's one. Okay, so we've now got all these laminations off the formers. Some of them came off without any problem. A couple of them I had to cut up, particularly the tail and the fin and rudder. It's not worth risking damaging all the work you've done so far. Far better to sacrifice the formers. They're easy made. So we've got the wing tips, we've got the tailplane tips, and we've got the rudder and fin assembly, and these are lovely, really strong and light. What we need to do now is to think about how we're going to clean these up just before we start building. Now, the one side of them is fairly flat because it's been on the building board. I think that side. This side is a little bit ridged, so we're going to sand it with one of our sanding sticks, and we need to be really careful because if we start pushing it backwards and forwards like that, we are going to damage it. So we just need to very carefully go along the length, and you can hold it with 2 fingers or just one, very gently, and just get this smoothed up a little. I mean, it will want profiling once we get the wing or the structure built, but it'll be nice just to clean it up a little bit, just to get those high points off. But we do need to be really careful because it is, at this stage, quite a delicate structure. Well, I've now got this one wing tip just roughly cleaned up, so it's ready for us to start building with it. And I've got these other 4 still to do, nice and carefully so we don't damage them. And you can see what a great fit that is if I just hold that up against the plans. I can't wait to start incorporating these into the build and getting these structures finished. And hopefully you can see what a great process this is for building these strong, light structures. So I'm going to draw this video to a close now, and hopefully you found it useful and interesting, and please come back and see how we get on in building this lovely 45-inch Quiver.